In a typical OnePlus fashion, the box comes in a longer form factor and the box comes in red with the OnePlus 9 5G in the middle and co-developed by Hasselblad down below. Then at the back, you'll find the specs and the variant of the phone. Opening the box, inside the cover of the box, you'll find the user manuals and also the SIM ejector pin. Then you'll find the phone itself. Underneath, you'll find a nice soft clear phone case with the never settle branding over there as well. Next, there's a USB-C to USB-C cable and the 65-watt warp charging brick. Now the OnePlus 9 comes with a Snapdragon 888 5nm chipset with 5G support as the name clearly mentions. It has the Adreno 660 GPU and the variant that I have is the 12GB of RAM with 256GB of storage, which uses the UFS 3.1 storage, and it comes shipped with Oxygen OS 11, where the current update when I did this review is version 11.2.5.5. Alright, now let's look at the design and build of the phone. Now the moment I opened the box and looked at the phone, I was very surprised with the design. And no, it was not in a good way, as the phone just looked boring without any uniqueness of the phone. Now this astral black color finish also made the phone super hard to see that famous Hasselblad branding. Even trying to see the OnePlus logo, you'll need to kind of angle the phone towards the light, only then you can see it. Now the phone was also surprisingly very light too, where some may like it, but for me I felt like it made the phone feel like it was not as solid as a flagship smartphone. Where although I like the OnePlus Nord, but this phone seems like OnePlus Nord version 2.0. At the back, the phone is made of Corning Gorilla Glass 5 with a quite slippery finish, so I would recommend for you all to put on the clear phone case since it does come inside of the box, which makes the phone to have a better grip. Now this same Gorilla Glass 5 panel is also available for the front of the screen, where it features the hole punch camera towards the left hand side of the screen with a fingerprint sensor placed towards the bottom of the screen, which is something I'm not a fan of since it's not the natural position when holding the phone. But yes, this does come down to muscle memory, but I still prefer it to be in the middle instead. Now speaking of the rear, once again, the camera bump is quite thin. And it was quite nice, but if you place the phone on a surface while typing, it will still wobble, so keep that in mind. Now looking at the phone spots and buttons, down below other than the USB-C port, you'll find the dual SIM card slot and one of the two stereo speakers, as the other is available at the earpiece area. Then on the right, there is the amazing alert slider to switch between silent, vibrate and ring, which for the life of me, I don't understand why other Android smartphones do not follow this alert slider feature, which I find it very and extremely useful. Then you'll find the power button below there as well. Then on the left, you'll find the volume rockers. Now as for the phone screen, it has a 6.55-inch fluid AMOLED display with a resolution of 1080 by 2400 pixels with HDR10 Plus with 120Hz refresh rate. Where I have to say that using the phone daily was great when it comes to the screen, where it had nice colors when it comes to browsing the web and also watching videos on YouTube and Netflix as well. And speaking of Netflix, it has the White Wine L1 certification with HDR10 capabilities for you to view HDR content, which was great to know with the Dolby Atmos support, which of course I'll do a sound test later on in this video. Now if you guys don't already know that the OnePlus 9 series is the very first collaboration with OnePlus and Hasselblad, which apparently gives better color calibration and an orange button for the camera app. But yes, let's first check out the specs. So the OnePlus 9 comes with a 48MP f1.8 23mm wide lens, a 50MP f2.2 14mm ultra wide angle lens, and a 2MP f2.4 mono camera. Now I find it kind of weird that OnePlus has decided to forego the telephoto lens which the Pro variant have. Maybe it's to save cost. Oh well. Now starting from the high 48MP mode, the images did turn out great, like how you would see in other flagship smartphones with extreme detail even when you zoom in close. Now look at the main lens, the pictures were great, where I could see the difference in the overall color and contrast, and the overall saturation wasn't overpowering, which kinda reminded me of the photos taken on the Pixel phones. So finally, there's no need to get a Gcam app for the phone. Then look at the ultra wide angle shots. Here is where the phone really shines, because it's surely one of the best that I've seen, probably even the best compared to any other flagship smartphones, with a very nice focal length and amazing image quality with no barrel distortion on the edges. Now as for portrait mode, here is where again I had great results with another set of great quality photos as well, where these shots were taken by going and putting my hands like this to get it towards my face. And portrait mode for subjects was also great as well. Then as for the useless mode, macro mode, the images were decent with just okay focusing modes to get those close-up shots if you guys are into this particular mode. The nightscape mode on the OnePlus 9 didn't disappoint as usual, with great highlights and shadow balance with low noise on the images as well, and you can use this particular nightscape mode both for the ultra-wide and the main lens as well. Next, looking at the front camera, the phone has a 16 megapixel f2.4 wide lens. And here's where, if the rear camera had the color calibration of the technology from Hasselblad, the front camera has the technology of Hasselblad. Now as you guys can see, that 9 out of 10 images taken for the selfie camera made my skin tone look like I was hibernating in a cave and never seen the sun for months, with a super pale colors for my skin tones. Now if you guys are lucky and the sun gods are on your side, you will get great images, but mostly when it comes to backlight situation, you can't get close to the amazing quality that the rear camera has. Now while the edge detection was great on the portrait mode, but once again, the skin tones was totally off and washed out as well. Now as for video recording, OnePlus 9 records up to 8K 30 frames per second, where I have to say that the video quality was really good. But here's the thing. Now first of all, it took me about 12 to 13 seconds of recording, and then there's a message to say that it was overheating. Then it stopped recording. And second of all, the phone by itself even struggled to play back the video when I tried to play it on the gallery as well. So why even have an 8K recording mode? Then when it comes to 4K video recording, once again the video quality was truly nice and amazing with great image stabilization. And although some people were complaining about not having OIS, but I didn't find any issues with that. But once again, the 4K video recording was great, but it will give you the overheating warning, and it did stop the recording halfway once again. But mind you, it's not as hot as other smartphones like the Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra, but it gave such warning and stopped the recording. So this reminds me of the Canon R5 camera, which did the same, where it kind of thermal throttle without the camera being actually really warm, and that seems to be the case on the OnePlus 9 as well. Then when it comes to the front video recording, what's weird is that you have absolutely no idea what recording resolution. As OnePlus said, nope, I'm not gonna give you recording options for that. Where it records up to 1080p up to 30 frames per second. Where once again, if the light is on your side, the video quality was great. But there was a video exposure issues, as you guys can see, if you are in a backlit situation where it looks totally Hasselblad. Now as for the phone speakers, it comes with stereo speakers where the overall sound quality was great. And I have to say that this is one of the few smartphones which had great bass to the speakers and nice audio separation as well. But the output was not the best at only 92.8 dB, and here is a quick sound test. Now as for the phone's battery, the OnePlus 9 comes with 4500 mAh battery with fast charging up to a massive 65 watts. Whereas seen in the unboxing that the charger comes inside of the box, but the wireless charging is only capped at 15 watts compared to 30 watts on the OnePlus 9 Pro. And in terms of the amount of screen on time that I got, based on me using the phone daily, I got an average of 5 hours and 55 minutes to 6 hours when I was at 10% battery with dark mode turned on, which I have to say that I was overall very impressed with the battery life. Looking at the phone software, as mentioned that the OnePlus 9 comes with Oxygen OS 11 with the current version of 11.2.5.5.6.7.8.9.10. What's with the amount of decimals? during the time I was reviewing this phone, where in this case Oxygen OS has always been one of the top Android skins where navigating through the menu system was as straightforward as it gets. But the haptics on the phone was a bit, on a lack of a better word, felt cheap. But the other software features like quick launch feature was also great as well. But what I did not like is that I don't get it that now when you swipe from the middle of the screen, it brings you to another weird menu instead of the notification shade, which I could not find an option to go back to that. So I did not get why they changed or when they changed that, but other than that, I have no complaints about the overall software experience. Next, when it comes to gaming, on Genshin Impact, the game ran smoothly at higher settings at 60 frames per second, where there were a bit of a micro lag during the ultimate animation times, you know, those or if there were lots of subject on the screen. Now after about 5 minutes, the phone was warm to the touch, where the battery started to drain after about 13 minutes. Then there was a notification of the screen dimming issue to reduce the temperature, as it went from 38 degrees to 44 degrees and the battery went from 50% to 45% very quickly. Then things were amazing on PUBG Mobile, as it ran great with graphics set to UHD and frame rate set to extreme without any issue whatsoever. There was no overheating issues even after 15 minutes of gaming, and no battery drain issues as well, and the overall temperature only rose from 35 degrees to 38 degrees. So in conclusion, OnePlus 9 is a phone which has equally some good and not so good things about the phone, as mentioned in this video. Now in my humble opinion, I think that OnePlus has lost its plot slowly and losing its core features of being a great smartphone brand with super great pricing like how the Poco series